Thank you for joining us today. Um, to get us started, I just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Kendra Conrad, and I am from the Executive Services team at the County of Santa Clara. And I am the Senior HR Analyst who's overseeing the Director, Employee and Labor Relations Recruitment. Also helping me co-moderate this session this morning is my colleague, Adrian Kudal. Adrian, do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. Good morning, everyone.
Oh, Adrian, you muted yourself.
Sorry about that. And let's do it one more time. Adrian Goodall from Exec Services team. And as Kendra mentioned, I'm also a senior HR analyst at the County of Santa Clara Exec Services. And yeah, here today to help Kendra out, co-moderate this session.
Thank you, Adrian. So, the purpose of this informational session is to give you, our prospective candidates, a chance to learn more about the position and to help you decide if this leadership opportunity is right for you. Joining me today to help us get a deeper dive into the role is our Director of Employee Services Agency, David Hebner, and our Deputy Director of Employee Services Agency, Gina Donnelly. Would you two like to take a moment to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Thanks, Kendra. Gina, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thanks to everybody for joining us today. As they said, I'm Gina Donnelly, the Deputy Director here at the Employee Services Agency. I just celebrated my 9-year anniversary last week with the county, and I'm just a couple of months away from my 25th anniversary in public service. All of that has been in HR and employee labor relations. So I'm very excited to be participating today.
And as Kendra said, my name is David Hebner, and I'm about to hit 2 years with the County of Santa Clara as the Director of the Employee Services Agency. My career started more in tech in the private sector, and about 12 years ago, got really interested in what it would look like to apply a lot of what we were seeing happening in the tech sector to mission-driven organizations, namely governments. So making HR more data-driven, more human-centered, and redesigning processes with those objectives in mind. And so for the last 12 years, I've been doing that, first as a consultant, and then ended up moving in-house with the city and county of San Francisco, where I'd done a lot of work and running a modernization effort there. And then came here about almost 2 years ago and really excited to be in this role and getting to work with this team and so many others who are trying to transform the employee experience at the County of Santa Clara.
Great. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, David. We're really happy to have you here with us today. So, for today's session, what we're going to do is take an in depth look at this role, including what the role involves and how it impacts our workforce and the greater community as well. We will also discuss what success looks like for leaders in this space, along with some of the key responsibilities of the role and the essential knowledge and experience that's required. We have received many great questions from our audience, so thank you for that. And we've done our best to weave those questions in throughout the discussion. Of course, if you have any additional questions, feel free to use our chat box. It's active for this session, and so you can submit any additional questions that you have, and we will do our best to address those questions at the end. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. David, can you speak about the purpose and function of the Director, Employee and Labor Relations role and how it supports the agency's overall mission in the County of Santa Clara?
Yeah, thanks, Kendra. I think I'll first sort of anchor it in the broader goal of the county, really largely speaking. And so if you think about the County of Santa Clara, we serve almost 2 million residents, and our CEO and CO really have a vision for establishing the county as being the gold standard in public service delivery and really establishing what excellence looks like in service delivery. And we at the Employee Services Agency believe that in order for us to deliver on that, for the county to deliver on that vision, we need to ensure that we're delivering an excellent employee experience at every part of that life cycle, from recruitment all the way through retirement. So with that as a backdrop, when you then think of this role, which is to lead our employee and labor relations, we really think it's critical that that service is being offered with those same aspirations and same goals. So how do we rethink employee relations? How do we rethink labor relations with those goals of excellence in ensuring that our employees have a fair and merit-based experience working here and ensuring that we are then challenging ourselves to rethink that. And so I really believe that this role is critical for us to be able to deliver on that vision in order for the county to deliver on its larger goal of excellence in public service delivery.
Great. Thank you, David. Another one for you. What's the one thing you wish more candidates understood about this work and the moment that we're in as a department and or agency?
Yeah, in terms of one thing I hope people can take away is just the depth and breadth of the county and the work that it does. So we have now almost 25,000 employees working across dozens of different departments. As I said earlier, serving almost 2 million residents in a really diverse county that ranges from an urban environment in San Jose to actually pretty more rural areas to the south around Gilroy in the southern part of the county. So it's a really diverse community that's serving a very diverse population and that offers really varied services. And when you think of that, I think it makes it really interesting to be then in this role and to think about how you design employee and labor relations in a way to support that workforce that's delivering all these different types of services in such a diverse environment. And so that's one thing I hope that especially people who might not be as familiar with the County of Santa Clara can get to understand. I think a lot of people who are new to the area or are learning about it think of it as being associated with just Silicon Valley. But there's actually so much more to this community and so much more to what the county is doing to support this incredible community in the County of Santa Clara.
Great. Thank you so much, David. And can you just walk us through where this role sits within the department's structure and how big the team is?
Yeah, well, I'll maybe hand off to Gina to talk a little bit more
Okay.
specifically about the team, and I'll maybe just tee up the Employee Services Agency, which for those who are not as familiar with the County of Santa Clara, it's in essence our people function, our HR function. It's called the Employee Services Agency, and it's made up of a few key groups. We have our recruitment and class, which is obviously where we do a lot of our recruitment and classification and compensation work. We have a benefits and wellness team that really is thinking about the employee benefits and experience and how do we enhance that. And then we have this employee and labor relations team. We have an executive experience team, which is actually where Kendra and Adrian work. And we're actually bringing in the learning and development parts of the county that have been sitting outside that will be coming into ESA, our Employee Services Agency, as well as our engagement and efficiency team. And all of that is supported also by a data and analytics team, as well as comms function that are supporting those teams. But that's at a high level, the structure for the Employee Services Agency. But I'll hand off to Gina to talk more about the employee and labor relations team more specifically.
Sure. Thanks, David. So the Employee and Labor Relations Director oversees a staff of 35, really engaging in all aspects of employee and labor relations for the entire county, and also serves as the chief negotiator for the county. And we have, just for reference, we have 17 memorandums of agreement, which have some of them have multiple bargaining units within them, all that have their own very different cultures and aspects. And this role really has the opportunity in structure to really incorporate consistency and really looking at strategy across the board on all of those in terms of global goals.
Great. Thank you, Gina. What would you say is the biggest challenge for this role at this point in time?
So the county is in some difficult times right now, budgetarily. So that is a challenge, but I think it's also an opportunity. And this is a key role that's going to be navigating and leading initiatives for both creating efficiencies, but also in facilitating strategic growth. The county is still growing in many different ways and providing wonderful services and expanding those services where we can. So challenge, yes, definitely, but also a great opportunity.
Yes, well said. Okay, our next question. What shifts do you believe are most critical for moving employee and labor relations from a reactive model to a proactive strategic partner, especially when it comes to identifying risks early before they escalate into systemic issues?
Yeah, well, maybe I'll hop in and Gina, don't hesitate to add to my answer. I think in the job description and when we've thought about this role, we've really thought about this shift as being a critical one in order, again, for us as an agency and for the county to move its HR function to being a more strategic one. We need to be more proactively understanding what's happening within departments and what is going to happen so that we can anticipate those and be thinking about the negotiations that need to be happening in order for them to not turn into acute problems, but instead be things that we have started addressing and finding the opportunities to reimagine them. So I think the things that need to happen in order for that to become a reality fit into two main camps. One is we need to establish more stronger foundations, especially from a data standpoint, to really understand how are things currently playing out and what does that allow us to understand about the inner workings of a given department or a given group of people within a department. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done there in terms of that foundation building, some of which has already gotten started, but there's more work to be done. The other side to it is really from a structural standpoint. How do we ensure that we're building the strongest partnerships and relationships with departments and with our unions so that those relationships are not ones where we are usually coming together to go solve a problem that's already turned into something meaty and problematic, but instead we're frequently meeting and developing rapport and a strategy. And so that's also about shifting how we work organizationally and moving to more of a business partner model that has us almost more embedded with departments and in their leadership groups to allow for those relationships to have those types of discussions more proactively. And so I think of those two pieces really shoring up our foundation, especially on the data side, and changing some of our organizational structure. Those are the building blocks that I think that need to come together in order for us to really transform and turn into more of a proactive organization instead of a reactive one.
Great. Thank you, David. We have a question here regarding why the position is currently available. David, would you like to take this one?
Sure. Yeah. We, unfortunately, the person who was in the role had a personal situation that came up that meant that they could no longer, unfortunately, be here and be in the role. And so that's what freed up the role and created the vacancy. And so it was an unfortunate situation. But we're excited to now be in this phase and having so many people interested and looking forward to finding our next CLR director through this process.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Are you seeking specific experience with California labor law? Are you open to out-of-state candidates? Gina, would you like to take this one?
Sure. I mean, certainly California labor law experience would be helpful. But I think anybody that has the employee and labor relations background, if they're willing to jump in and really learn about MMBA and all the other alphabet soup that we have to deal with in California, I think they certainly could be successful.
Great, thank you.
All right, so jumping into what does success mean in this role? So this question is for David, or Gina, you're more than welcome to jump in as well, needed. So can you also highlight key responsibilities and specify the departmental goals that the successful individual needs to achieve within the next 6 to 12 months and in the long term?
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. I think I spoke a little bit to it on one of the earlier questions around sort of that foundation building and the strategic business partner model. I think the other thing I just highlight for someone to be successful in the early stages, so much of this role is around relationship building. So if we think about the relationships that you need to build in this role, it's not only obviously with Gina and myself, but every single department head who obviously has a staff that is represented by the different unions, and then with the unions themselves. So I think there's a huge part in the early stages of this that are also around building those strong relationships and also in understanding the breadth again of our workforce and all the different types of jobs and work that they're doing to serve this almost 2 million people that live here. So I think I would really focus on those three pillars. Going back to my previous answer, right, the foundation building around like our data. The second piece is starting to put in place the strategic business partner model, and then the third is really around the relationships. And I think if in your first 6 or 12 months those things are going well, it's going to open up a lot of opportunity for the person in this role to start really transforming the way that the work is done. And that will translate into very measurable impacts, which is, for example, reducing the amount of time that it takes to do certain key processes. But also, I think it will turn into transformative work in terms of the work experience for our employees who will feel that things are more predictable, who feel that things are more standardized. And that I think will allow us to really lean into this larger strategy of ensuring an excellent experience from recruitment through retirement, even in those difficult moments that might make up a part of an employee's journey.
Right. Thank you, David. And I just want to quickly acknowledge one of the questions that was submitted in the chat. This looks like we got our audience engaged here, and we got them excited to apply in this position. So one of the questions is, like, when do I start? But I just want to call it out. But thank you. We're doing a great job. All right. So the other question is for the ideal candidate profile, and this is probably a more Gina question. So can you discuss the essential knowledge and experience, desirable qualifications, or what the ideal candidate should bring to succeed in this role?
Okay, well, let's see. A depth of experience in public sector labor relations certainly would be valuable, as well as in-depth knowledge and experience with dealing with employee relations issues. That is a huge part of what this department does, hence the name, Employee and Labor Relations. This is an experience in a very large and complex organization. The county is, as David mentioned, 25,000 strong and growing. So it's important to have the ability to adapt, and certainly having knowledge of, as I mentioned, MMBA, ADA, FMLA, CFRA, PDLA. I could keep going with my alphabet soup, but that technical knowledge is certainly valuable and going to be important for this person in this role. But I think from a long range strategy perspective, being able to see that long range strategy, develop that long range strategy, but at the same time have a very, very keen eye for detail. That's going to be very important skill, I think, for anybody in this role.
All right. Thank you, Gina.
The only thing I'd just add to that is just to underscore what I mentioned earlier around the relationship building and how critical that is, and being able to subtly navigate, right, the need for relationships across very different union groups and very different types of leaders. And so that's just, I think, a really important component just to underscore that and something that we're obviously looking for in this role.
Great. Thank you both. So I think this is another Gina question. What is the culture of the department? Describe your personal experience working in employee and labor relations, and what is the morale like in the department as well?
Okay. So the culture is very, very high performing, very collaborative, very supportive. The team really works together to take on whatever gets thrown our way. And whether we're celebrating a win or commiserating over our struggles, I think the team is really there to support each other and really does care about the work that we do and the people that we serve. And as far as the morale in the department, I'd say that the morale is pretty good. I think one of the personality traits of people that are attracted to this kind of work is resiliency, and ability to be positive, even we'll say fake it till you make it.
Right. Thank you. David, was there anything you wanted to add? I saw your
Well, the only thing, if
Awesome.
we were talking about the culture, one of the things that's actually been fun over the last few months is we actually were finally able to move this team into a new location.
Mhm.
And they are all sitting together, and actually seeing them all be in a space that is a much better space than we had before, I think has also only made that culture and that unity greater. And so it's been fun seeing them all in a new space working alongside one another. And so it's been fun uh, to have be a development recently.
Great. Thank you. Okay, I believe this is a David question. The description mentions elevating ELR from a reactive function to a proactive, insight-driven partner. What are the primary legacy bottlenecks the county is most eager to solve through technology or data-informed practice in the first year?
Thanks, Kendra. I think some of these questions have some similar themes to them, and which is not surprising based on how we described the job. I'll maybe focus on another dimension here that I really think will unlock a lot of potential, and that's around more standardization and templatization of how we approach a lot of our employee and labor relations work. When you don't have that standardization or templatization, it leads to sort of reinventing the wheel or having slightly different ways of solving the same problem. I think one of the ways that we unlock this potential is by making sure that we have gotten more of that standardization. The team's already working on it. So I think if they were here, they would also be wanting us to stress that. A lot of that's been happening, but I think we are just taking that to the next level. And what that then allows us to do with that standardization and more templatization is frees up the team to have more bandwidth to be focusing on more of that forward thinking work, and to be spending more time looking at some of the analytics that come out of actually having that stronger foundation I was referencing earlier. So it's when you couple those things together that I think that it unlocks a lot of potential and allows for us to move to that new model.
Great. Thank you.
Gina, is there anything you want to add on that? Or?
Yeah, I think that
All right.
covers it.
All right. So I do think that we have gotten some additional questions in the chat. Before we get to those, I just wanted to take a moment to go over the recruitment process in general, and then we can have Adrian read through the questions that we've received during the session. So, regarding the recruitment process, this recruitment is scheduled to close on Friday, May 29th. So, for those of you who may be interested in the role and haven't submitted an application yet, we highly encourage you to do so within the next week. Process-wise, applications that meet the minimum qualifications of the position will then undergo a competitive screening, which will be based on the desirable qualifications that we're looking for. And it's this step that will help us identify candidates who are going to be invited to move forward to panel interviews. And once panel interviews occur, anyone selected to move forward from there will participate in a final round interview. And then from there, we do references and so on. So that's kind of a high level review of our process. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. And with that, I will pass it off to Adrian, who can go over some of the questions we've received since we've been live.
All right. So I'm going to go over some of the questions that you've folks submitted. So thank you so much. So the very first question would be, how many direct reports are there, and who does this employee report to?
So the Employee and Labor Relations Director reports to me, but David and I work really collaboratively to support the Employee and Labor Relations function. So he's also very involved, thankfully. Did that answer the question, or was there more? Did I miss?
I think that covers it. Thank you.
I think
And
there
then,
was maybe just again how many direct reports, right? And
Oh, that's right. So so there is an assistant employee and labor relations director. So that person would report directly to the director. In addition to that, there's 5 principal labor relations representatives, and the the sharing of how who direct reports to whom can sort of depend on duties and the way that the department is structured. We have been really trying to build out the employee relations function more and building in more specialization in that area. So our assistant director, thankfully, is very talented in that area. So someone who is focusing more on employee relations may be reporting directly to our assistant director. And the labor relations director could be the person who's really more responsible for the labor relations functions. But really, I think the structure is flexible. And I think that having knowledge on both sides, both the employee and the labor relations side of the house, is important. And we share that knowledge and bounce ideas off each other and again, work together really collaboratively to get things done.
Awesome. David, you want to add anything or? All right. So let's jump to the next question. So first of all, great insight. So I'm curious to know if we build a proactive report-based business partner model, how do David and Gina envision equipping department heads to measure leading indicators of unit health before they escalate into formal lagging grievances?
I spent quite some time unpacking that one. I think, well, there's two things I would focus on. So in terms of like leading indicators, one of the things that we are starting to do is building out dashboards um, to provide first for our team. And so part of the change management here is getting our team comfortable with owning, understanding the data, and also ensuring that the data is something that they feel confident and accurate. And so we're going through that maturity process right now of at least turning into dashboards, having the team have it. Then there's the next step of actually sharing that data with department heads so that they can start seeing it and understanding how we're looking at it. And then the third piece is then getting them so comfortable with it where they actually make that part of their day-to-day, week-to-week operational cadences. So we're definitely in the earlier stages, but I do think it's equipping the leadership in departments with important and meaningful data. But that all comes back to we have to have good data, which is why we're working so much on that foundational piece. So that's, I think, one key piece is equipping them with that data through education and training. And we're still in the early stages there. And the other piece I would just highlight there in terms of equipping department heads is also on training and development for their team so that they feel they can confidently engage in this type of environment. One of the things I often hear is managers feeling somewhat intimidated operating in a highly unionized environment or not knowing how to exactly to operate. And so how do we ensure that people feel more confident? I think we can do a lot of that through training and education as well. So while a lot of the leading indicators we need to look at are on the data side and really understanding how is the employee experience playing out in different ways across different subsets of the population. I think there's another part which is equipping our departments with the training and the knowledge that makes them more confident in understanding how to navigate what can sometimes be a relatively complicated work environment as a result of the alphabet soup that Gina was highlighting earlier on.
All right, awesome. So another question that just came in. So what HRIS system is your HR and labor relations department using?
We are on PeopleSoft.
Mm-hmm.
We're on PeopleSoft, and one of the things we are working on is really improving the quality of the data there to be able to do all the things that we talked about. I think that other question was getting at it earlier on. Um, uh, we need to, in order to have those leading indicators, we need to have data we can trust. We also have to have data being inputted, and those are all the things we're currently showing up. But yeah, PeopleSoft house.
All right. Maybe any more additional questions, folks? All right. If there isn't any, okay, there you go. Well, thank you. Right, yeah, and thank you for your folks here for your time and spending. I know it's probably like still around work hours, but we do appreciate your presence and yeah, spending time with us to go through this very important role in the county. So as a few of my closing remarks. So if you have, again, any additional questions about this recruitment, please go ahead and send an email to our HR analyst who's assigned for this recruitment, Kendra Conrad. So you can send the email to kendra.conrad@esa.sccgov.org. And also, if you would like to learn more about this role and many other executive leadership job opportunities with the county, within the county of Santa Clara, please go to www.sccjobs.org/exec recruitment. And in here in our landing page, you will learn about the county's executive leadership experience and also very generous, excuse me, executive leadership benefits packages such as like our popular pension system, deferred compensation, our county paid life insurance, and also some of our executive level health and wellness and family support benefits that we provide to our executives. And also, if you're curious about the annual leave, the 39 days annual leave, that's also a portal where you can find more information about that. All right. With that said, also, we are all about improving these informational sessions. So if you found this conversation helpful or have any ideas on how we can improve them in the future, please make time to take the brief survey that you'll be receiving shortly after we conclude this info session. And with that said, actually, let's see. There's a few more questions that came in. I think we still have time, right, folks? So, let's see. Okay, so one few questions here. David, what qualitative early warning indicators should we capture alongside traditional grievance data? And the follow-up question to that was like, how might ELR business partners use dashboards to support proactive health checks with department heads before friction escalates? And I guess that can go with either Gina or David.
Well, I am very excited about being able to use data to do some early on, we'll call it contract enforcement. If we had good eyes into data, I'll just use an example. If we're seeing a lot of overtime in a particular division in a department, and then we are able to drill down on that and see that it's really one or two people that are working all of this overtime, we may have MOA provisions that actually require it to be spread out or allowing other employees to elect that overtime after somebody else has experienced so much overtime or had so much overtime. So before that becomes a grievance, we could, having that data in our hands, we could alleviate that issue, get down to that supervisor and that manager and make sure that they're aware of those contract provisions and that they're following them appropriately.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And the only other thing I've tried to pick up on is a shift in tone or number of things that are being escalated in different ways, and whether that is a early signal. So going back to the question of like qualitative early signals, I do think you sometimes notice a shift in tone or avoidance, right? That can also be a situation where you notice that certain meetings that had been happening, certain types of check-ins that had been or ways in which even agendas are being built. So I think it is important to look for some of those qualitative changes in addition to being able to do those other types of analyses. Great question.
All right. Thank you for that. All right. So any parting words before we end the session?
I just want to extend a huge thank you, obviously, to Gina, but then also to Kendra and Adrian for partnering on this. As Adrian said, we're trying out different ways of telling the story of the exciting opportunities here at the county. And this is one of the ways in which we can get hiring managers in front of the camera to answer questions and provide maybe a little bit more color to what's behind the job description. So if you do have feedback or any other ideas of how we can best do that, please don't hesitate to let us know. And this is just another way that we're trying to really, not only recruit people, but tell the exciting story of the work that you can do at the County of Santa Clara, and hope that you will choose to apply. And please reach out with any questions or feedback.
All right. Thank you so much, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Mhm.